Happy fall, everyone. My name is Michelle Vigiano from AIM Human Performance. We're located in the same shopping center as the Lake Ridge Neighborhood Library, just downstairs within the Tappett's Mill Shopping Center. Today, I'm going to share with you a few balance exercises so that this fall, you don't take a fall. While all of these exercises that I'm going to share with you today are good for fall prevention, they can also be beneficial for improving athletic performance, or if you're looking to improve the health or the strength of your ankles and feet. So let's jump in. The exercises today I'm going to give you are going to be appropriate for all ages and all ability levels. In fact, I'm going to give you a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced variation for all four of the exercises that we're going to go through today. So let's talk about safety first. If you're new to balance, I would highly recommend having something that you can put your hand on. It can be as simple as a chair or even a wall that you feel comfortable putting your hand against. This is just to make sure that if you do feel like you're losing your balance, you're able to hold on if necessary. So let's start with one of the most basic balance exercises that we have, where we still have both feet on the floor. Most of us know that if we want to have our balance, we tend to take our feet a little bit wider apart. This makes us feel a little bit more stable, right? So one of the easiest ways to begin working on your balance is just to simply stand with your feet all the way together. You can practice this pretty much anywhere, right? Even when waiting in line in the grocery store. If it's a challenge for you and you're a beginner balancer, absolutely go ahead and put your hand on that chair if you need to. If you're an intermediate level balancer, I would recommend trying this exercise with your shoes off. In fact, all of the exercises today, I would challenge you to start these exercises with your shoes on and progress to practicing them barefoot. It can be much more challenging when we can't rely on our sneakers. Once you've mastered standing with your feet close together, we know this narrow base of support is a challenge. We can make this stance even more narrow by going to our second exercise of the day. And you can do that simply by bringing one foot in front of the other. So my back toe is touching my front heel. Imagine you're a gymnast standing on a balance beam, right? And just this stance alone might be a really good place to start working on your balance. Again, you can have your hand on the chair. If you're new to balance, see if you can just go to a fingertip on the chair and eventually progress to a point where maybe you could take your hands off completely. If you want to make this exercise a little bit harder for your intermediate challenge, keep your feet in this balance beam or this tandem stance and see if you can start moving your arms. Can you move them front to back in a scissor position and still keep your balance? Or what about taking your hands from side to side? Once you've mastered moving your arms, the ultimate challenge, or your super advanced level challenge for this, would be to cross your arms over your chest, hold this balance beam stance, and see if you can close your eyes. Excellent. So let's move on to exercise number 3. Now we are going to progress to standing on one foot. So we did 2 exercises where you didn't even have to stand on one foot to begin working on your balance. The final 2 exercises we're going to go through do require you to stand on one leg. So if you have an ankle or foot injury, start maybe mastering those first 2 exercises first. Then you can progress to standing on one leg. But even if you have an ankle or foot injury that you're rehabbing from, or maybe you're still in that beginner balance stage, you could still begin to work on standing on one leg with a couple of modifications I'm going to show you here. Obviously, again, we've got the chair, right? You can put your hand on the chair. If you need what I like to call a training wheel, you can keep the tip of your other toe on the floor just to give you a little bit of extra support here. If you're able to eventually move that training wheel, though, see if you can take that foot completely off of the floor. When we're in the beginner phase, there's a couple of things we need to think about here so that we can master this. One of the important things is checking in with what's going at your foot. Can you feel your toes spreading apart and grabbing a hold of the floor? That's a sign of a healthy foot and ankle. We also want to make sure that we're really aware of all the muscles around the side of our hip working. they should be engaged in supporting us here so that we feel nice and solid here. And again, you could go from holding onto the chair to just that fingertip if you need to. If you're ready to make it a little bit more advanced, your next step is to see if you can start moving this leg around, right? Could you take it to the front or to the side or maybe even to the back and still maintain your balance, right? All those different directions, maybe even crossing the leg behind you. See how much you can move this leg and still be able to keep your balance. For your final advanced challenge with this, our next step would be to see if instead of moving the supporting leg, we could start moving the trunk. So here's what I mean by that. Going back to standing on one leg, right? I have my foot off the floor. My arms are going to cross over my chest. And I'm going to see if I can take my core through all the motions that the core can do. So for example, can I round my trunk forward and still keep my balance? Stand up tall and see if you can arch a little bit. What about adding a little bit of rotating? Can you turn and look at one side of the room? Could you turn and look at the opposite side of the room? And finally, do you feel like you could do a little side bend to each direction? If you can go through all those motions on one foot, and you can do that repeatedly, let's say for at least a minute on each foot, you should really be feeling the muscles of your hip and your feet working hard and getting stronger with each of those exercises. So let's go to the last exercise. All the exercises we've done so far have kept us in one place, right? We call that it's very static. But it's important in real life. We don't usually have a scenario where we need to be perfectly balanced all of a sudden, right? Usually we're walking and our foot trips or something catches on the sidewalk, right? It needs to be very dynamic. So this is where it's really important that we start practicing our dynamic balance. So once you've got that one foot, one leg balance down, we can start adding a little bit of side-to-side motion. For example, could you step out to the side, quickly find your balance? Could you step back, quickly find your balance? Right? And in the beginning, it's perfectly okay if you want to take these small little steps, right? Just a little wider than hip distance. But as you get more comfortable, see if you can start challenging yourself by really taking big, gigantic steps and finding your balance. Make sure that you're holding at each of those positions. If that's getting easy for you, your final challenge for today is to continue that dynamic balance, but start moving around in a lot of different places, not just side to side. So for example, could you go to the corner and catch your balance? What about straight behind you and catch your balance? What about even crossing over and catching your balance, right? All of these are great ways to help you start to feel stronger in your feet and ankles, start to build strength in your hips, and most importantly, prepare yourself so that you won't take a fall. If you have any questions on any of the exercises that we went through today, please feel free to contact us at AIM Human Performance. Otherwise, you're welcome to check us out on social media. There's plenty more balance exercises for you to see. So until then, again, my name is Michelle Vigiano from AIM Human Performance, and I'm wishing you a healthy and safe fall season.